Hi friends, Tiffany here. Welcome to my quilting life. If you are new to my channel, subscribe that way, hit the bell, and then get notifications when I am live, which is like times like today when I just randomly decide to go live. I'm trying to get the other screen started. Also, don't forget to give a thumbs up so that my video stays in rotations, and third to all that, I am using the front facing camera just so that I can see the screen. Today's video is going to be crawling around on the floor. I don't know why I put myself through all this. Oh wait, because I love doing this. Duh. So right now I'm just gonna wait for people to get on. And hi Terry, hi Diane. So I'm doing this behind me, Triana's quilt. I wanted it done because Wednesday is her birthday. She'll be 5, and I figured it would be great for her to throw it on her little bed for when she's here for her birthday, and she can do what she wants with it. So hi Janet. I made a back. Obviously you guys know how quilt backs are made, but one of these days I'll get to that kind of tutorial someday. Or it's just back only, or just this only. I never get to do all those. I mean, I do. I have plenty of time, I guess, but not today. Hi Vicky, hi BJ. So I'm sitting on the backing, or I mean the batting, which I'm going to show you guys in a second. Hi Judy. I totally franken-pieced this batting. I don't have very much batting left. I need to, because it's long arm season, I can't long arm, so obviously I haven't purchased any big, I buy the big rolls of batting, like 25 yards or 30 yards or so on and so forth for the long arm, and then I put it under there. So I literally barely have enough for one quilt. When the season comes, I can start the quilt, and I only have one batting amount worth for a large quilt. So I figured, why not franken-piece all the quilt, or the extra batting that I cut off the bottoms of quilts and off the sides and so on and so forth. So that's what I did, and I'll show you guys. Franken-piecing doesn't always work perfect with a blend of polyester and cotton mix battings. It's better with cotton only. But I work with what I have, and if this is all you have, then this makes it workable. So yeah, I'm going to pick the camera up and turn it around to the other camera, and I'll show you guys the franken-pieced batting. It really turns out, sometimes it comes out perfectly straight, other times it's not, but you gotta think the batting's been thrown around and cut off and stretched and blah 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 blah. So like I said, I work with what I have, and Triana's not going to tear her quilt apart to look inside of it. So as you can see though, that the title says the no binding method. That is what I'm technically here to show you guys today, is how to no bind on your quilt. We're going to put this together without binding, but I'm still going to lightly quilt it after I put it together. So yeah, and as you can see, I had to pick up Triana's little bed. That's what it is right here, off the floor, so it's kind of just leaning. It's just a, like I said, a crib mattress, so that's the size this is, but technically her little quilt is a lap quilt, so she could drag it around the house. I really don't care what she does with it. So all right, so I'm gonna get myself up off the floor. Now there's one thing about the no binding method. You really need a flat space to do this, to lay it out. If you have a small room like mine is 10 by 11, yeah, 10 feet by 11 feet size room. As long as you keep the center, that's why I put all my stuff around the walls instead, so that I have plenty of flooring available to do stuff like this. Now if this quilt was bigger, not going to happen. Then you need tables, or a garage floor, or a living room floor, or wherever floor space you have, and or a large table so you don't have to get on the floor. Hi Yogi. Need to get a large yellow so we can all be relaxed. So what was I saying? I forgot already. Anyways, hi, Duana. You need a big floor space to do this. It's just like basting a quilt, except you're doing things backwards, in a way, very backwards, to make it work. And I still have to pin because I need everything to kind of stay the way I put it. So pinning is going to be a little bit more difficult because I'm on carpet and I don't want to pin the carpet, which I've done before, with me. Hardwood floors or tile floors are always the best bet. If you have a design wall, that works too, because you can just put everything up on the design wall and obviously it'll stay. Yeah, so, ooh, and I just totally perfect thread color. My drawers right here, all the thread, totally have the perfect thread color right here. Now I don't know if I have any bobbins rolled with this. Okay, so I'm gonna pick up the camera. You guys are gonna go on a field trip and face the floor. And I'll show you my franken-batting batting because it really looks crazy. Hi, Kim. So here we go. Oh, dang it. And crazy photo. So here's franken-batting batting. Now you know why I call it franken-piece. So it was a bunch of strips of batting left over from bottoms of quilts. Usually I cut them down to do like squares and stuff. And you can see it doesn't lay, it starts to arch. And then it wasn't long enough. And then those pieces, the smaller pieces, I had to franken-piece those together. And this is what I get. So this is my wonderful franken-batting batting. And I just use a super wide zigzag stitch to put these together. So you can see it's a wide zigzag stitch. And it grabs them. As long as you trim your piece and butt them up nicely, you can get really good franken-batting batting. So that's what I got to work with. And now we're going to go to put this down and we're going to start with the back of the quilt. And I'm going to do my best to keep you guys facing the floor so that you can watch how this works. Stay, don't wiggle. Hi, Beverly. All right, so you're facing the floor. You're going to watch me crawl around. So Triana is backing Scott, and I came to the conclusion she's getting princess flannel. So we got Ariel and Snow White and what's her face from Tangled Up, whatever her name is. And we got Cinderella and, oh, there's Belle and Sleeping Beauty. And what is the Tangled girl's name? I totally forgot. Oh, I can't think of her name, but anyway. So I have this, and I have pieced it together because I didn't want the seam to run in length, so I put it in the width. So my seam runs in the middle of this quilt, like that. My seam be running down the middle instead of having half a seam on the side. So I'm going to place this onto the ground. Right side up. Right side up. That's the way it goes. Right side up. That way everybody knows it goes right side up. And I'm just going to lay it on here. It's super extra long so that I can have super extra more space to work with, because I save all my scraps anyway for other projects. Now I'm just going to lay it on here and start smoothing it out. Again, you get to watch me crawl around on the floor. You cannot see comments while I'm doing this unless I look over at the screen. And I just smooth it out even while pulling on it. And make sure my seam is staying open. And I just slowly smooth it out. It's a good thing I'm crawling around the carpet. This would be really hard on hardwood floor. I've done it on hardwood floor. It hurts my knees. So I guess the good part about carpet is it's nice and soft when you're trying to do this. So I'm just going to keep smoothing it out, and even though I'm on top of it, like this, nice and smooth, and since it's flannel, it's really sticking to the batting really nicely. It's all nice and flat almost. Hi Sarah, I'm probably missing comments here. Hi Beverly. Let's see, Terry. Sounds fun. Frankie-batting, yeah. Yep, franken-batting. That's what I call it. Hi, Jim. Yep, you guys are hanging out on the floor with me. All right, so I'm just going to go around it one more time. Give you guys a nice butt shot as I go around. I'm also plucking threads away because from the floor, and so does the batting. And my room hasn't been vacuumed in a couple days. All right. Seems to be really, really, really flat now. Now that the backing is face up, the batting is on the floor, whether it's face down or face up, it don't matter because it's franken-batting. So there's no actual direction to my batting, but if you were using a cotton batting, your smooth side would be face down. Or face down. I think that's the way it would go. Pretty sure. Honestly, it doesn't really matter. Now we're going to take the lovely quilt top. We're going to put that right sides down on top. And I'm going to try to do my best to center it because I want all that extra to go back to the other end row over there. And I try to pull away any while I'm doing this, I try to get any kind of shred off fabric. If it's black, especially from behind white areas. Now I have the quilt top right side down, and now I'm gonna right side down flatten this out. Make it nice and smooth. Should stick really well, only because I just pressed it. I'm kind of like patting it. If you guys can see, I'm like patting it to where the wrinkles come out. Like that. So I'm like patting my hand towards the edge so any wrinkles can come out. And I'm underneath the camera. Under the camera. You know, this may be one of the easier ways to quilt with no binding, but it definitely is a workout to get ready to be able to do this. So it looks pretty flat, it fits pretty flat. It's definitely sticking to the flannel really nicely. Everything's staying pretty nice. And I'm gonna go around one more time. All right, now to add some pins. Remember, batting goes down first, backing goes second, face up, and then your quilt top goes third, face down. So this is how this works. Now, so that I don't get too much shifting, I am going to add some pins, and then I'm going to kind of pull it away over there so I can cut away any excess, which I usually do. Actually, I'll just sew and then cut away. I'm not really in the mood right now, but I would cut away any excess batting at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and add just some pins around the edges, really, because that's where we're going to be sewing. So I'm going to go around the whole entire edge and just add some safety pins. And I gotta try to be a little careful because I'm trying not to grab carpet. So I'm just gonna lift up a little, poke my pin in, try to keep everything as flat as possible. Just going around the edge so that everything stays nice and flat. I'm gonna look at comments real quick. Hi Michelle. Hi Billy. Everyone's saying hi. Billy loves the fabric. Everyone's saying hi. Still saying hi. Hi Kim. I'm saying hi Shelly. I know I'm on totally a different time today, but I need to get this done because Wednesday is her birthday and I want her to have this for her birthday. So, and I'm still going to be quilting it. So I'm just going to take my pins now and I'm going to kind of come in front of you guys. And I'm just putting pins only around the edge. I don't care about them in the middle. Honestly, I've never had a really bad pucker problem if I didn't put pins in the middle. I mainly just put them around the edges. And I still try to keep everything flattened out nicely, even though I'm sitting on batting, because it's making quite the batting mess. So I'm just adding some pins, not a whole lot, just enough to keep all these layers together. And I'm also going to be doing this on the Brother machine. So, just so that you guys are fully aware where I'm going to be quilting, as will be on the Brother machine. See, I just grabbed the carpet. Okay, I'm going away from the chat and everything because I can't see once I move this way. So everything's still nice together. Nothing's really shifting or anything. Just picking it up, popping in a pin, picking it up, popping in a pin. Only because I'm on carpet. If you weren't on carpet, it would probably be a lot easier. Okay. This corner, and then I'll go up this edge and add two more up at that top area, and this will be ready for me to stitch down. Again, I am doing the no binding method because I just want to finish it and I can't long arm right now and I don't feel like making binding. So just kind of doing my own thing, and I figured it's been a long time since I've showed you guys how to do this. So, and for those that tie quilts, this is probably the easiest way to do that. I don't tie quilts, but, and I never have, probably never will, but this is how it would be done. Just putting it together this way, unless you want to bind a tied quilt, but most tied quilts I've seen are stitch and flip like this with no binding. Remind me not to do this for a long time after today. I'm already out of breath. Alright. About 2 more pins and I shall be ready to sew. Okay. In. And one more pin right here. And for is now done. So here's this. I'm going to cut away all that excess on the bottom down there real quick, because I don't need all this down here. And obviously it's going to get cut again when I'm finished, but I don't want any of this in my way. And yes, I saved my scraps from even this. I have a big thing just with flannel only scraps. Okay, so I'm gonna throw that out of the way. I'm also gonna cut off all this batting right here because there's so much of my franken-batting. So that just now goes in my scraps. Get that out of the way. And we are gonna come over here, turn this machine on, and get started. So I'm gonna look at the comments for a second. And I have to pull this machine out. I'm blocking the camera just a little bit more. You're gonna wiggle for a second. All right. And pick the scissors up off the floor. And now we're gonna come with the camera. Give me 2 seconds because I have to move the thingy that it goes on, so that you guys can see every single angle. All right, here's where we're gonna sew. All right, so what we're gonna do, I'm gonna lift this just a little so that you can see. I want you to be able to see me. There we go. We're going to turn another light on too. I'm going to leave that on the floor for a second. I'm going to leave that on the floor, and I am going to roll a bobbin. Well, maybe not have to. Let's see. Nope, I don't have any of this one. I'll roll it when I get to the quilting. For now, I'll just stitch it down with the white that's in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to carefully pick this up from the floor. Like this. And then I'm going to flatten it out right here. And I'm going to go ahead and stick this under my foot. So everything's going to have nice and flat. I'm going to keep it as flat as possible. Go ahead and slide. It's very hard because the batting is on the bottom. And it just seems like it wants to just move around too much, I guess is the word for it. I'm going to pull this whole thing on the table because it seems to be, the batting seems to want to rip. Everything's still flat. It has not moved because I pinned around the edges. And what I'm going to do is rethread this thing because it was threaded. That's what happened. You guys should have told me that my thread fell. Didn't even see that happen. Move it over some so that it doesn't happen again. Put this all on my lap, scoop myself in, and I put the comments in front of me, so hopefully I can read them. But I'm probably missing some. That's way far down. Okay, let's see. I saw Shelly came in, Vivian. Anyone else getting rain? Hi Tammy, I am doing this. Hi Roxanne. I am quilt with no binding. I'm doing it that way. I'm trying to show you guys how the no binding method is done for a quilt, because I'm trying to get this done for Triana, like super quick. No rain here, but I see that some of you got some rain. Hi, June. I could put silicone paint leaking. Thunderstorm this morning, cool and cloudy with rain moving in. Hi, Teresa. Said it was too hot to quilt right now, but it cooled off. And notice I'm out of breath, so I'm kind of catching my breath while reading these comments. Hi, June. Okay, Tiffany, crawl around on the floor. If I get on the floor, you'll have to pick me up. Trust me, it's getting very close to me not being able to do this no more. Once I have my surgery, hopefully it'll go back to normal. I feel like I ran like 5 miles or something, maybe even more, because that's, my heart is like just going like this. Makes it hard to catch my breath. A lot of rain here, downpours as usual here for us here in Florida. I would love to be able to have some maybe 4 quilts I can't afford right now. Love your sewing table, my little table. Hi, Vicky. I'm just asking how everybody's today. Oh no, your thread fell. See, I wouldn't have known that. Your thread just fell on the floor. What's she up to? I am putting together a quilt with no binding. Showing you guys how to stitch and flip pretty much. Oh, thank you. Answering, yes, Tammy. Stitch and flip pretty much. Yeah, I'm quilting it for Triana because her birthday is Wednesday, for her 5th birthday. Hi, Francis. Thank you for teaching a new method to finish off a quilt. This is such, if you don't want to make binding, or say you ran out of fabric, this is the only way you have to do it. Do it this way. And I'm going to show you how I do it, at least my way. So I already showed you batting on the floor first, then you're backing right side up, and then your quilt top right side down, or, you know, pretty side down. And yeah, once I seal this, you guys will see it'll be perfectly fine. I don't just do 1 stitch when I seal, I do a double stitch so it looks really cool around the edge. And then I'll put some quilting in it for her. That way it's quilted. All right, I'm gonna put this back there, and I am going to start. I'm not starting the opening just yet. I'm gonna put the opening at the bottom for now. I am just going to start right here on the side because that's what's closest to me. And I hope you guys can see. My stitch length, first I gotta put my thread my machine, and I'm going to make my stitch length not very small, just like a 2.5 for this. Nothing should come undone. Oh. Had to hide my snips from the girls yesterday. And this machine is the one I know how to use the threader on. All right, so I want to stitch about 1/4 inch away from the edge of the quilt top. So I have to change my needle position to where it is about 1/4 inch away from the edge of my presser foot, and I'm going to use my presser foot as the guide. 5.5 I think is 1/4 inch, and then I'm going to put my presser foot down. Everything's nice and flat, nothing's been really moved, the pins were holding it in place, and I'm just going to stitch all the way around, except when I get to the end almost on the top or the bottom, I'm going to leave an opening, and it's going to be about 6 to 10 inches. I'm not going to leave a super big huge opening. I'm just going to leave about a 6 to 10 inch opening. So let's get to, I'm going to just sew all the way around, and this machine takes forever, but we'll get it done. It allows me to hang out and chit chat with you guys more. Got to go. Have a wonderful day. Love you all. Love you, Michelle. Talk to you later. Oops, I call my daughter, Tiffany, so that's funny. See how little inch bear. Hi, Christine, at 6:50 a.m. in Queensland. Well, I guess I'm the start to your day. Weather's a bit fresh. Hope I'm doing gooder today. I am a little gooder today. You know why? Because there's no kids to frustrate me more. I know sometimes it's just, they get to you. And well, yesterday I think it was just children getting to me. So I had to take a break. I want to say bye to Michelle. Love the way you were doing this. I will give it a try. All right, so I'm just keeping everything nice and flat. And I'm just using the side of my foot to follow along the edge. So this is going to be a while. I'm definitely going to be going around this for about 45 minutes. Who knows, maybe not as long. So I'm just keeping it flat. And yep, that's about a 1/4 inch. It's probably a little bit more than a 1/4 inch, but I don't remember the number on this machine because I don't actually piece on this machine ever. But I felt that my other machine has a ton of projects right there and I don't want to knock any of it over. I was working with really tiny pieces again last night because, well, I have insomnia and I can't sleep and I get bored. So as long as I don't let the batting, the excess batting, tuck under, then we should be good. Also, as long as I don't knock that thread spool down again, then I should also be good. I'm holding down seams as well because there's tons of seams around the border of this quilt. So I'm coming to an edge. And I'm going to just come right to the edge because I'm going to be chopping it off anyway. And I'm going to back stitch because I chop my corners when I do this. And then I'm going to lift my needle and cut my thread real quick. If I could find it. And I'm going to turn the whole thing. Normally, some people pivot, but I'm not pivoting. I'm just doing this way. I'm going to start going down. I think this is probably going to be the top because I think I started on a side. Now I'm just going to go down this. I'm starting right at the edge, no big deal. I will back stitch a little bit right here around the corner. That way it's really nice and tied down. Again, I'm holding all my seams down. As best as possible, I should say. Trying to keep everything flat. No, Janet, I don't bother with the walking foot because I don't want to change out all the feet. But yes, it would probably be better if you use walking foot. I'm just lazy. That's why I didn't put one. Hi, Brenda from Canada. This afternoon, sleep, Tiff. Love my morning coffee and Tiffy. Aw. So yeah, for those that are curious, Tiffany, your batting, don't get hung up in the feed dogs. No, not really. I have the smooth side of my batting facing down. It's really smooth. If I had the rough side facing up, down, it would be horrible underneath it because it catches really bad. But no, I don't really have a feed dog problem with the batting. Cotton batting is probably a lot better for 100% cotton, but I'm using a blend. Thank you, Vicki, for the thumbs up reminder. Kathleen, hello. Hi, Brenda. I haven't been doing much sewing. I've been making big gardens. I have been too lovely to be cooped up indoors. Oh yes, I bet. I wish it was nice here so I can get outside. All right, so I'm just gonna keep going. In some areas, the quilt was messed up, so I'm taking those things into account on this because I had mess up quilt problems. Stay. Alright, so I'm just keeping everything nice and flat. This machine really takes so long to do this. I should have just went on the other one, but that's okay. I'm gonna make it work. I just keep adjusting and moving and adjusting and moving and adjusting and moving. As long as I keep adjusting everything, I should be nice and flat, nice and good. Just following along the edge of the quilt. And I think Donna Jordan has a video doing this, but she has hers as she's doing it for a tie quilt. So she's tying the quilt off when she's finished. I'm going to be just putting some quilting stitches in it. I'm not going to go crazy on it. I'll just put a couple really wide stitches. And I'm taking some of my pins out now. Here. So yes, if you use a walking foot, you probably have a better accuracy, nicer job done. I just don't want to bother with all that. Coming to an edge, I'm going to back stitch. Lift my needle. Pick up the whole entire thing again. Try not to snag it on the table because the batting is on the bottom. I'm going to adjust all this, get it nice and flat. And then put the press foot down, do some back stitching right here now, facing the other way. And go down this side. So this is now the long side, and then when I get to the bottom, I'm going to be leaving my opening down there. So again, it's all nice and flat. Everything's staying a little bit better in place only because I used flannel. If you were to have used regular cotton, with cotton, I would highly suggest putting more pins. But since I put flannel on the back, the quilt top is like sticking to the flannel really nicely. So, just like the flannel is sticking to the batting really nicely. And if I have any puckers or anything, I'll just quilt them into it and call it a design. You know what I mean? Because sometimes that happens. Especially since I'm not doing this correctly. Because I'm being lazy and not changing out my foot and all that kind of stuff. I'm just using that. I think this is the end foot. I have to keep adjusting as I go. Okay, so you're welcome. I've only done this method on placemats. Yeah, I've done it on quilts because I get lazy, although binding only takes me like an hour to do, but I just, sometimes I'm like, I kind of want this more comforter, like the fluffiness of it for her. So that's kind of why I chose this method, because it's for her little kid bed. So I think it'll be nice. And hold on, did I lose the video? Is it going? It's going. Can't tell when I have the screen facing the other way. Okay, just sewing around the outside. Yes, I'm sewing around the outside along the edge of the quilt top, using the quilt top as my guide. I was in so much pain after surgery. I thought, oh my God, but it's eased up and setting next surgery date for total replacement. But God is so faithful. Makes it funner. You're still on my prayer list for Kathleen. What you working on? Tiff, feel better today. Saw yesterday at 3 a.m. I'm just putting Triana's quilt together. That way it's done for her birthday. Doing great. Hi, Jessie. Oh, there. How ironic. I was just watching your videos. Yeah, I come on when I come on, except for Sundays. Sundays is always the same. But during the week, it's random. All random. I'm here randomly. Wish I had someone near me too so we can quilt. See, I have all you guys, but I do wish I had in person sometimes. It'd be awesome if I had more people in person. Prayer list, Adam and Kathleen. Okay, everyone has Kathleen in their prayers for her surgery. Jesse says help people. I don't know what all that is. Me too, nice to catch up, care about others. Did that method on summer weight quilt. And then I tie them with embroidery thread. I like it. It's a lot quicker. Yeah, definitely saves time on all the extra, for me, because I don't really want to try to baste. I don't want to smell the basting spray, really, and baste them all together. And I don't feel like messing around with all that. And if you see me lifting my presser foot, it's because I'm trying to push the seam back down. Seems right when I get to the edge that the seams want to flip themselves. So everything's still flat. Keeping it nice. Let's see, some of these seams don't want to stay down. But this shows you guys you can do it on these little domestic machines. There's really nothing to fit in the throat when it comes to doing it this way, honestly, because I'm not quilting it like that. Coming down on this edge right here, and I'm going to remove this pin because it's really close to my foot. All the way down and back stitch again all the way at the edge because I'm still going to be cutting it. You can hear that batting scraping against the table. This table has like what's the word for it? Like a, it was used, so obviously it's not very pretty anymore. The batting is getting stuck on the ripped ends, or like almost breaking ends. All right, so I'm going to come down this side about, let's see how wide this is. I'm going to come down and then I'll stop and you'll see what I'll do. So I'm going to back stitch right here. Everything's staying nice and flat. Keeping it all flat. Again, it's probably best if you use your walking foot. But I'm just being lazy. So I'm going to stop right here and I'm going to back stitch and then I'm going to skip ahead about 10 inches. So I'm just gonna lift my needle, bring this, keeping everything flat. I'm gonna skip ahead about 10 inches. Oops, I gotta move this out of the way. It's about right here. Everything's still flat in between that. So I'm gonna put my needle down right here, and I'm gonna back stitch. I don't leave much of an opening because this is a small quilt, so it's gonna be too big to pull out. All right, so now I'm just gonna continue the rest of the way. So I'm right here at this, I'm gonna back stitch right here. I'll pick it up and finish this edge where all the way to where I started. And then I'm gonna take pins out, and then we're gonna cut. Okay. Didn't stuff it where I wanted. So I'm gonna come here, back stitch. Definitely have something in my eye. And I always iron as well. I always give this a nice press after I cut and stuff, so you'll see what I do. Everything's still flat. Still flat. Got a little ripple underneath there with my batting. And a couple more stitches. Back stitch. That's where I started. I went about an inch beyond where I started. Snip all these threads. My wonderful franken-batting. Oh, so funny. All right. I'm gonna, oh man, that's all taken up. We're just gonna use scissors for this because, yeah. Give me 2 seconds. And we'll come over here with this part because I'm just gonna use scissors instead of a rotary cutter. Okay, so here we are at the ironing board. We're going to try to do this with just some scissors. Good scissors right here. So I have this laying flat. My line is already stitched, but I'm going to use the scissors along this edge of the quilt top. And I'm going to just cut all this away. I'm not going to cut the quilt top, just cutting the layers away from the quilt top. And you can use a rotary cutter, but I just so happen to have my table with stuff on it. So I'm going to do it this way. And I also have to take pins out while I'm here doing this. So I'm going to hand cut. So if you don't have all the excess stuff and you just have a sewing machine and some scissors like I had when I first started quilting, this is how I did things. And I used scissors for everything because I didn't have rotary cutters or anything like that until I started getting all that kind of stuff. So I'm just cutting it all away, lifting everything up, cutting it away, just using the edge of the quilt top as my guide. Kind of gets killer on the hands, but I will make it work. So I'm going to separate my flannel from my batting. I'm going to pick this whole thing up, turn it right here. Now it looks bunched up, but it's really not. It's because I left the thread here on the front and on the back at my opening. So there's my opening right there. Take my pins out. Alright, let's see how much faster I can snip this off. And I just adjusted it because the batting was pooling on the ironing board, and it was putting less batting at my edge, and I want it to be right up to the edge for when I seal this closed. And I don't see any comments right now because I didn't bring that screen with me, so I don't even know. Oh good, it's still going good. Okay, I can still see the other screen, I just can't read anything on it. I just want to make sure that I'm not buffering or anything. I'm going to bring this over with me. Hi Aunt B, just saw that you're here. Hi everybody that's just joining actually, how about that? Rough edges, Tiff. Yeah, who cares? Procedure things, are they volunteering, Quilts, donations? Just trying to catch up on the reading, but I want to get this done. It's just pulling on my table right here. Must flatten it back out. There we go. It looks like I've made a big mess, but I really haven't. Alright, let's cut this side now. I'll look at comments 2 seconds. Washing the window, doing a little cleaning, but listening, that's fine. I need to organize my area so I can get back to sewing while it's cool. Iowa, hot again, I'm sure. Jim, trying to read you guys' comments. I was cutting earlier for elastic quilt, now resting. Tiff, can you give us a quick rundown what you're doing, thinking, and what I need to know for an elastic quilt? Rewatch, I can. I am just putting it together with the no binding method. That's what this method was. So I lay my batting down on the ground, and then I lay my backing, my quilt back on top of the batting, right sides up, and then I lay my quilt top on top of that, right sides down, and then I flatten everything out, keep it all nice and flat the whole entire time, and then after everything is nice and flat, I pin around it, and then I sew a 1/4 inch away from the edge. It's a little bit more than a 1/4 inch, honestly. It's about, I don't know, I can't tell you right now because I'm stupid, like 3/8 of an inch almost. And then I sew all the way around the edge, and then I leave an opening 6 to 10 inches because this is a small quilt. The bigger the quilt, the bigger the amount of opening you should leave. And then I will reach through that opening and pull the quilt through it and then seal it up and sew all the way around, and you'll see how that's done because I haven't got to that part yet. But this is definitely a quick and easy way to finish it, whether you're tying the quilt afterwards so that there's no shifting, or if you want the comforter look and you just put a couple stitches in it. That's what I'm going to do with it, is give it the comforter look by putting a couple of quilting stitches in it. I'm not going to go overboard, which is what I normally do with quilting. And then it'll be 100% done, and Triana can have it for her birthday. All right. Now that it's cut all the way around, I don't know how well you guys are going to see this. See my corner right here? See the stitching? I'm going to trim this corner off, but I'm going to come right up to that stitching, but not through the stitching. So I'm going to do this to all 4 corners. I do it just because it keeps the bulkiness away when I go to overstitch on top, when I do the top stitch. And see, I have to, before I flip this, I need to shake off because this batting is covered in thread now. So I just kind of give it, and it's reinforced because I back stitched quite a bit when I got to those corners. Once I flip this around the other way, I'm going to press everything. So here is my opening, and I got to be very careful because I do have seams right here at the end, but I'm going to go in. Okay, let's turn this so you can see me. My room is not in the best mood, but here's my hole, my 6 to 10 inches. I'm going to reach my hand in there between the quilt top and the quilt back. Can you see that? Between the, here's the top, and here's the quilt back, not between the batting. So I'm between the quilt top and the quilt back. I'm going to reach my hand all the way to the other end. I'm going to grab that corner, pushing it out with my finger, and then I'm going to come over here to this other end, holding that in my hand. I still have the end of it in my hand. Come to this other corner, and then I kind of make it like a circle of my finger like this inside the quilt in here. My finger, my hand is like a circle, and I just push the top through like that, pushing that corner out, and then I keep both those ends in my hand, and then I bring them up through here, very slowly like. And I should have shook this off. I forgot all about that. I guess I'll just pluck it all away. If I see a big chunk of thread, I'll pull it away. Okay. It's not much there, so I'm just going to pull this all through this hole. Pulling it through the hole, pulling it through the hole, pulling it through the hole very carefully, not to rip my seam stitches for all those little seams. Pulling it through, not much to do. And now I'm going to grab this corner, create that circle with my hand, stick the corner into my circle like this, poking that corner out. And I just, I'm going to come over to this side now. This is the last corner. I'm going to do the same thing. Push this into a circle into my hand, just like that. Using my hand to pull it out like that. And pull it through. So here, so far, I'm going to back you guys up. Oh no, don't fall. Don't fall. Can you see? Good? Okay. So here so far is the quilt. And I can tell that I kind of opened and popped some of my stitches. I should have top stitched that, but I didn't. And now what I'm going to do is, now that it's completely turned, I'm going to stick my hand in, and now I'm going to push these corners out even better. You can use your stick thing if you have one. Stick or whatever you have. I now have this purple thing, and I reach in there, and my purple thing into the corner, and I push these corners out as best as I can. This does not have to be perfect, honestly. I kind of like the little rounded look right here of the corner. I kind of like that little rounded look. So I'll go and do all those corners, and then we're going to plug the iron in and do the ironing part. So again, this is pushed out. So it's not perfectly square, it's more rounded off, which is kind of cool. And I take my hand down to this one, just making sure that they're all perfectly poked out since my finger didn't get it 100%. I just stick my little purple thing in there, and I'm just pushing it out. One more corner. Almost lost the purple thing inside of here. Last corner. Push it out. There we go. Completely pushed out. Talk about almost completely done. So now that it's all out, I'm going to shake everything, and I'm going to use my fingers to fold this seam right here to where it's right between the two pieces. So I want my seam literally dead center. So I'm going to use my finger to roll the seam dead center all the way around. You can use the tool still or a chopstick, but I can't because the batting is a cotton poly blend, so it's just going to keep snagging on it. So I just do this by hand. I just roll my fingers because I'm going to take this to the iron, just pushing that seam with my fingers right to the edge where it's dead center all the way around. And I just kind of push it down. So I'm going to bring it up here to the iron, which needs to be plugged in now. So let's put this right here for a second. We need to plug the iron in. Had to figure out what plug to unplug. Alright, I had to unplug a plug. And I want steam, so I'm going to fill my iron with some water. Turn you guys again back over here to the ironing board so you can see. And I'll read the comments in a second. I'll take a break and go over everything again. Snow tomorrow, what? That'd be awesome to have a friend around. I said hi to B. The windows are very large. Oh, Teresa's cleaning large windows. It's a lot of work. Correcting the works. It's all about what I can handle. Asking how they are. Hi, Marlene. Yeah, all right, Jim. I had to shut my living room window because I felt sure that we're going to get more rain. That's a cool technique. You've never seen, some of you haven't seen this technique before, this stitch and flip? Or bind without, binding free quilt? It's kind of weird. This is how I started. My first couple quilts were done this way. And I didn't even know that there was a way to do this. Like I didn't know, that this was even a way. I just said, oh, I'm going to stitch this together and turn it out like a pillow, because I had made pillows before. Just never made a quilt. And if the light flickers, it's because the iron flickers it. Okay. So I'm using my fingers around these edges to push them out. And I'm going to be ironing it nice and flat down. So I'm just going to roll it and iron, roll it and iron. What's that most? Pressure washer. Yeah, pressure washer would work. Hi, Linda. You're doing this period. I just finished a final quote and was wondering how to do this method. So, to reiterate over things, batting down first. There's really no right or wrong side of batting this particular way. Batting face down first. My way is the batting, the shiny side faces down because it's easier to go over the feed dogs. And 100% cotton batting is always better. But if you don't have it and you want the fluffiness like a comforter, then the thicker batting usually comes in polyester or polyester cotton blends. So batting down first, preferably shiny side down so that the feed dogs aren't getting caught up in it. Then you take your quilt backing, and you put your backing right side up. So it means your wrong side is touching the batting, the right side is facing you. So you see the side of your backing fabric facing you. Then you take your quilt top and you put it right side down. So your pretty sides of your backing and your quilt top are facing each other right on top of your batting. So it goes the batting, quilt back, right side up, quilt top, right side down. So around the whole entire edge, leaving 6 to 10 inch opening and bigger depending on how big your quilt is. But you guys saw how easy that was to turn. I would recommend if you have seams at the edge, like I have a bazillion of them, make sure that you stitch those seams shut before you even flip your quilt, because you just saw I ripped a couple of them, but that's okay. But again, 6 to 10 inch opening should be perfectly fine for any size quilt. And then it flips out so easily. You roll with your fingers these edges, and I'm going to show you right now. Once it's rolled to the edge, I just take the iron with some steam, and I make sure that the rolled edge stays right at the edge using my fingers, like the opening, you know, like between the two fabrics, the way they're folded, just is like perfect. It just sits perfect. This is the easiest way, no binding. It's kind of like a comforter, so if what you're making is for somebody's bed, special bed, and you want to do matching everything, throw pillows and so on, but they want the thick, fluffy comforter look, this is the best way to achieve that. And if you're going to tie your quilt, this is also another way to do that. So now I'm to this side. So I just did the one side, so as you can see, it pressed it to where this line right here is directly in the center, all the way down. It should not be rolled over one way or the other. So here's the side I haven't done. See how you can see the quilt top right here? You don't want that. You want to make sure when you press it that it's rolled so that that's equally in the middle, like that. I don't know how well you guys can see, but you want to make sure that the top and the back are equally divided into the middle. So I'm going to go ahead and, again, sorry for the light flickering. I cannot control that when the iron is plugged directly into the wall. I'm just going to roll with my fingers first, pushing the seam to the edge, kind of just opening it up. And you can use the iron while you're doing this, while you're rolling it to the edge. I kind of just pull it out with my fingers, honestly. It seems to work that way. Rolling it to the edge, finding that center, rolling it to the edge. You can also go in, if you're using cotton batting, and use your purple thing or a chopstick or whatever, or a blunt object, and run it along the whole edge from the inside through your opening. I'm not doing that because, well, I'm just not doing that. Did this with 4 big throws for grandchildren for Christmas, except did rounded corners. Haven't done it for a bed size though. See, this, I don't know, just to me it seems like it works for any size quilt. I do this with babies mostly, baby quilt. Because baby quilts, I feel, need a little bit more loft. Because the babies, you know, they last forever for the babies. And they don't need to have binding. They don't really need to be done on the long arm. Unless I'm doing it for like a gift and it's fancy. So this part right here, the rolling it out, may take a little bit longer because I use the iron to get this to stay right. Some people don't do this part. I do. Wow, that plug is really sensitive to this iron. I usually use an extension cord, that's why. Alright, so that side is now done. Now we're going to do the side with my opening. And I'm just going to be folding that under and in. So again, you can take a blunt object. Say I was using this part. You just take that blunt object and you run it along inside there. pushing your seam out to the edge, you know, but not doing that, just showing you can. Means you have to reach in through your opening, so you definitely would need to stitch it down, which I'm probably going to have to fix before I go too much further. I go kind of down one side, get it nice and lined up. Pneumonia and sepsis, been here 13 days, not a lot better. Aw, that's sad, I'm sorry. Can I do borders on it? Yeah, you can do borders on your quilt. If your quilt has borders, yeah. This can, as long as your quilt top is completely done, this is a way to just, and to finish it. Sometimes I get really lazy and I just don't want to bind, you know? I don't want to bind the quilt, so this is a way around that. And now my opening area, I'm just going to fold it down and press it to where it stays in that fold, which is the seam I made, and it is going right over the batting. And then that was the back that I just folded down. And now I'm going to fold the top, and I'm going to match them up, creating a seam. I'll bring the camera down in 2 seconds. It's kind of hard to hold the camera and fold this at the same time. Stay down, stay. Talking to my fabric. So you can see that I folded this under. Oops, I didn't do a very good job at that. So that when I go to seal it, the seal is already now created. That seam is equal and everything will end up center, okay? So that's my sealed, the side that I'll be sealing. I'm going to fix that little corner right there. All right, and one more side to make nice. Tiff blue is white, my color, but I adore pink with grays. I'm going to have to set my sights on some fabric with these colors, huh? Yeah, this is pretty cute. And the princesses on the back just make it even better for Triana. Alright, so I'm just going to roll and try to finish this with my fingers the rest of the way down. I just use my fingers to find the seam, pulling it out. Pressing it down. And thanks to this wonderful ironing board, everything is sticking to it. My iron is flickering the light. Well, not flickering it when the iron is not plugged in. But the flannel is grabbing. And I pulled the ironing board out earlier because I needed to be able to go behind it. There we go. Gotta finish pressing this, and then I'll show you guys how I seal it up and sew it all the way around. Not just one stitch, but two. Makes it look really professional. I'm all about that professional look, guys. Those pretty finished edges. Last little area, just rolling it, making sure that my seam is laying nicely, everything is meeting up in the middle. I don't want to see the backing on the front, and I don't want to see the front on the back. All right. You can go over the whole thing if you want, but I'm done with that part. So here's what I have so far. And we're gonna move the camera over to the sewing again. And I am going to seal off my opening first. So here's my opening. I'm going to seal this off first. And then we're gonna go all the way around this whole entire thing. And I guess I'll just use the white instead of rolling a pink bobbin. So let me move the camera again back over to the sewing area. So hold on, we're going on a all right. Back on the trip. Here we go. We're at the sewing. Sorry about the movement, guys. Today's just one of those days I can't record at the same time. All right. I'm going to find my opening. I should put you like right here so you can see, but opening. I'm going to stitch along the edge. I'm going to start a little bit beyond, like an inch beyond the opening. I'm going to stitch along the edge like an 1/8 of an inch all the way down, sealing this opening shut. Okay, and then after that I'm going to continue with that 1/8 of an inch stitch all the way around. This is going to be very thick for it to go through because there's one layer, technically 2 layers, because it's now folded in half, plus the batting, and then 1 layer and 2 layers again. So we're going through the seams. So if you don't think your machine can do it, don't try. So right now I'm just going to go along this edge about 1/8 of an inch. I'm starting beyond it, also making sure that my batting is staying where it's supposed to be. Everything's nicely folded. Normally I do this on the Juki. I'm going to take a couple stitches and back stitch. I'm stitching with a 2.5 stitch length. I'm also going to kind of give it a little tug, not too much, but just a little. Pretty much helping keep it in my, because the table is small. Let's see how much better that is, picking it all up, because it was yanking, so I was trying to keep it up on the table. All right. You can hear when it's going through that many layers, the difference. Make a little fold right there. Come on. That seam ripped apart, so I have to kind of just ever so carefully pinch over it. Come on. Keep it nice and straight. And I have a little tiny pucker right here, but there's nothing I can do about it. And Triana is not going to care. So now that I did this, I'm going to continue this seam right here. Let me trim this extra thread off. I'm going to continue 1/8 of an inch all the way around the whole entire edge now. I know it seems like, what? Why are you doing that? Just trust me. It works really nicely. Oh, and I forgot to bring the chat over with me. Duh. Gotta go eat supper. Okay, Linda. Process called birthing. I always just call it birthing with bags. I don't really call it birthing with the quilts. Hi, Anne. Beautiful. After you go around twice, are you quilting in the middle or all over? I'm just going to add a little bit of quilting. I'll show you guys just a little bit of it. Don't want to be on forever, but so now I'm just going to go all the way around 1/8 of an inch from the edge all the way around, and I'm just like holding it it's guiding this so that it doesn't fall off. So I'm using a different foot than I normally would for this. But again, I didn't want to switch anything out for this project. I'm even going to quilt using this. Everything's nice and flat. I'm mainly just holding it to keep everything in a straight line. So I'm stitching all the way around the edge. It looks really clean, and I'll show you as soon as I get all the way around why I do this. And see, this machine can do it. Any machine can do it. I need a needle. That corner pulled itself a little when I pressed it. Just use a needle to pull the corner out. It's supposed to be kind of rounded, but this totally messed up. There we go. That's rounded just the way I like it. So I'm just going to carefully go around. I got to turn the iron off because it's totally causing that light to flicker. You can tell how much electricity an iron uses just by how many lights flicker. So now I'm going to carefully go around this in the curve. Because I'm keeping mine like curved almost. And now I'm an eighth of an inch away from the edge here. So now I'm just going to go all the way around this side. And the other side, and the other side, until I get back to the beginning again. Why do I do this? You'll see. It looks really clean. And I'm not really pulling, I'm just guiding, honestly. It just helps me easier. I'm pretty good on bobbins still. So this is definitely an okay way to finish off a quilt. This way, doing it, you don't really have to pay attention to having everything perfect like you do with mitered corners on binding, or, you know, making the binding and attaching the binding. This is sew it, flip it, sew it again, and either call it a day or add some, you know, stitches, or add some ties, or however you want to finish it. So I'm stitching like an eighth of an inch away from the edge all the way around right now. And I have to kind of guide this machine a little bit. All right, just kind of. I went around the curve because I don't poke my corners out to a perfect square. And it'd probably be better again if you're using a walking foot, but I don't feel like doing any of that. And did I just break something? No. That's just really thick. Come on. Every time I get to a seam right here at the edge, you got to add 2 more layers that I'm stitching through. That was weird. It felt like a needle break, but it wasn't. Diane, are you accidentally deleting messages? Diane is timing people out and accidentally deleting people. I'm very sorry for that. Diane, are you still here? Are you falling asleep while on here? Yeah, this is all accidental. I don't know how to unhide messages that are accidentally getting hid. So sorry about that. Hello, Lynn. Hi, Nita. I'm sorry if your message got deleted or if you just accidentally got timed out by Diane. That was an accident, most likely. Hi, Lisa. Sometimes my moderators fall asleep and touch buttons on their screens. It's okay. It happens. It was, your dog did it? No big deal. Every time you see me lifting the presser foot, it's because there's so much thickness in the seams. I'm trying to like ease up on it a little bit as I come to it. So when the presser foot goes up, it kind of just helps go over these big thick seams. I definitely know why I chose not to use this machine ever for making bags and stuff, because this definitely kind of feels like it's struggling to go over a lot of seams. Because these areas get thick. Everywhere I have a seam, there's lots and lots of layers. Alright, so I'm going to carefully go around this corner. I have to go down this side all the way and then a little bit on the side. So how does this work? No binding. I just got here. I just stitch. I lay the batting down. No particular way, as long as it's the direction your quilt needs to be facing. You lay the batting down, then you put your backing right side facing up, so wrong side touching the batting. So batting down first. Backing of your quilt facing up towards the ceiling. So the pretty side is facing towards you, towards the ceiling. Then your quilt top goes right side down. So your pretty side faces down. So what you'll see is all your seams on top of that. So all those 3 layers, sandwich them together, flatten, smooth everything out, put some pins in it, and then sew 1/4 inch away from the edge of your quilt top, using your quilt top as the guide all the way around, leaving an opening 6 to 8 inches at either the bottom, the top, or the sides. Depends. I mean, if you're very particular about it. I always put mine at the bottom. So I mean, if you're being particular about it, you can put it wherever you want. You know, it doesn't really matter, as long as there's an opening so that you can flip everything out. Now, if your quilt, because I should have done it and I just wasn't thinking, has seams along the whole entire edge of your border, if your border is made from lots of seams, make sure you stitch that area down first. Make sure that you, before you even put your quilt top right sides down, stitch around the edge of your quilt, because wherever you leave your opening, you don't want that to fall apart, and mine was falling apart, but that's only because I was just trying to hurry because I'm making a video. But make sure you stitch that. Also, use a walking foot is the best foot to use, but any foot will work. I mean, you guys can see I'm doing it with a regular end foot, I think is what this one is. and stitch all the way around, and then you cut away all the excess, clip the 4 corners if you have to go back and watch it, and then once it's all flipped out, poke your corners out, go along the edge with an iron so that your whole edge of your quilt, that you don't see the back on the front, you don't see the front on the back, everything meets in the middle. And then I close this opening first, which would have been right here. I seal that opening shut first, and then I continue on all the way around the whole entire quilt. Why do I do this? Because I think it looks clean and professional, and I do a second stitch after this. This video, I'm mainly just showing you that whole part of everything that I do. I just call this the no binding quilt method. Most people call it stitch and flip or whatever, but most people either tie it off after they do this and or add a couple stitches. But tying quilts, this is the more tying quilt kind of way. I just add stitches here and there to hold it down more comforter like, and it gives it a nice clean finish without having to make and put together binding. So I didn't want to have to match up some fabric or put black binding on this or anything like that. I felt that it looked good like this. So I decided to record doing this today. For those that are new and haven't done binding yet but want to finish a quilt in a more, this is a very clean way to do it. It's a very simple way to do it. And if you didn't feel like you're ready for binding yet, or you just hate messing around with binding, this is an alternative method to finishing your quilt. And I have to get this done. Well, I don't have to, but I really need to get this done because I want to make sure that Triana gets this for her birthday on Wednesday. Because everybody knows I spoil those girls. So for Triana's 5th birthday, she's getting a quilt for her bed in here. That way when she has slumber parties with Tiffy, that she'll have her quilt and she can drag it around the house and use it as a lap quilt when she sits on the couch and watches her cartoons. And right now I'm just stitching that 1/8 of an inch all the way around the edge of the whole entire quilt. And I kind of like, when I poked out the corners, I made sure mine sat more kind of rounded, and I'm just kind of stitching my 1/8 of an inch in that rounded mode around the edge, picking up my presser foot, leaving the needle down as I go. I am now on that bottom side. You will never know which side I sealed and which side I did not, because it all is now enclosed. So I am now at the beginning where I started. I'm going to back stitch and cut my threads, and I will show you how this looks with just this stitch all the way around. So here is the sealed side. Can you tell? I mean, you kind of can because of the little indent from the stitch lifting, and you can kind of tell because the backing did not line exactly. But if you continue to go all the way around, it's stitched all the way around neatly, so it's keeping that fold from spinning. This is why I go the rest of the way. So nobody can pull that out now. That seam is permanently in that fold all the way around. And now my 1/8 of an inch stitch is probably not perfect all the way around, but it is going to stop this from turning like this and coming open. See, there is now a stitch down, and now I'm going to do the second one. My second stitch is going to fall right here. So here's the lip from my stitching inside between the 2 layers. There's the lip from the seam. I'm going to be stitching along that, which gives it a nice professional clean look. I picked up tons of thread on the floor. So here it is all the way around. Now we're going to go around it one more time. And I'm just pretty much going to stitch a 1/4 inch away from that stitch line. So you could see right in here, if I folded it, that's a seam right there. The seam is running right along this, right there. So I'm going to be stitching on that. And I'm just going to use the white thread because it's what I have in here. So, oh well, I'm not switching out to the other color. I'm just going to start right here at the top, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like when this is completely done like this. So I'm just going to put the edge of my foot along my 1/8 inch stitch line. So my edge of my foot, and the thing is set, it's like 3/8 of an inch. It's not really at a 1/4 because I don't remember the number on this machine. I'm just going to put my needle down, and I'm going to start stitching right here, but I'm going to change my length of my stitch to a 3.5. Why? Because just trust me, it looks clean. The edge stitch is a 2.5, but the next stitch over is 3.5. And the whole entire quilting that I do on this will be at a 3.5 now. So I'm going to take a couple stitches backwards, and now I'm just going to follow that edge all the way around. So second stitch all the way around. Why do I do this? Because I think it looks clean. I'm probably missing tons of comments. I can't fix it either, Teresa. It doesn't allow me to. On the computer, I might be able to go back and pull them back. I'm not sure. Actually, here, let's just see right now, because I don't think I can pull them back. Once they're deleted, they're deleted. Kathleen was put on a timeout, but yeah, I can't pull them back, unfortunately. It's okay. It wasn't horrible. It's okay, Diane. All is forgiven. You're good. It happens. You should be able to talk again, though, because it was only timed out for like 300 seconds or something like that. First time I did a quilt like this, I got it wrong 3 times and had to unpick. I was making some for a friend to donate. I text her, it'll be easy. She said, unpick 3 times, those babies will be cold. Yeah, I haven't had issues doing it this way. So just make sure you flatten everything out. If you don't flatten everything out, you're going to have problems. Second to that, you have to make sure, again, I didn't do it because I'm just trying to make a quick video, but wherever you know that you're going to leave your 6 to 10 inch opening, and if you have a piece border, make sure you stitch that area down so that nothing comes apart when you go to flip, because mine did, but that's okay. I didn't have to really fix anything. It folded under, and the 2 little rips that were there, they fit in there, so they're permanently in there now. They're closed off. So just make sure that you do that first, but before you take your quilt to doing this. But then you just stitch all the way around, and if you leave that opening, you shouldn't mess up. And then trim all the excess quilt away along the edge of the quilt top, so you stitched in a 1/4 of an inch, the outer side of that. Make sure you trim all that away. If you don't trim that away, you're going to have a disaster inside the quilt. Trim it all away, and then clip those 4 corners right up to the stitching, but don't cut the stitching. You don't want to cut the stitching, because then you'll have a hole in the corner of your quilt, and you don't want that. Other than that, this process to me, I think it's easier than binding. There's a lot of extra stitching, I think, because I'm going around it twice, but trust me, it'll look good. You guys will like it. I will take pictures. Trust me, you guys will see pictures, and also I will be taking pictures of Triana when she sees it, because I like to try to catch her face that she makes on camera. So I'm going to attempt to make sure. And Carla out of timeout or whatever. You guys are still in timeout? I don't think so. I see talking. No, nobody's in timeout. Not that I can see. Well, I can get that to spoiled. Haha. My birthday is in 12 days. I'll be 5+. I bought a panel quilt kit from, so yeah, I can't remember who said they made the same quilt. I'm trying to figure it out. I won a panel from the Creative Notions birthday bash. I actually won two. I don't know what Vicky's going to send me as my other thing, but one of them came today. I'll show you when I'm done with this. If you remind me. If you don't remind me, then I won't be able to show you what the panel looks like. Birthday's in 12 days. I might also be 6+. Well, happy early birthday to you guys. I actually said I would be doing the same thing as T. If you guys want birthday shout outs, just email me your birthdays and I'm going to start making a little calendar of birthdays so that I can do shout outs for birthdays. I'm going to try to do it on birthdays if I can remember, you know, that it's on a calendar, you know what I mean? So if you guys email me, which is in the description below, with your birthdays, then I'll be able to do it. Don't tell me here in the chat though, because then I'll just get full. But that way I can give you guys birthday shout outs. Let's see, while I watch it, I mean, lost 1, 2. Okay, I'm gonna keep going around while you guys talk yourselves. The bigger stitch usually goes faster because I made it bigger. I don't know why this looks so cool doing this, but I like doing this. And then I'm going to pivot right, one more stitch. I'm going to pivot right here and go down this next side until I have made it all the way to where I started. And then when I add some quilting, I will add quilting with this same 3.5 stitch. It gives the illusion of hand quilting, which I haven't done yet, and I started hand piecing all my blocks. I have so many left to put together. I was hoping I'd have it done before my surgery, but I'm really, really slow with that hand piecing. So it'll be a while before I'm hand quilting. It's okay, I don't even have a hoop yet, so it's okay. My birthday is November 4th. So coming up, I'm not celebrating this year. I celebrated last year for 39. So that makes this year 40. I am not celebrating the big 40. No way, no how. I'm just going to ignore it and be 39 again. That way I don't age. But yeah, election day. My birthday usually falls every couple years on an election day, because I was born on an election day, which was November 4th. I was born on a Tuesday. My mom always says she hated it because Reagan was announced the winner when I was born. She said that it was, she makes it sound like it was the most horriblest thing in the whole wide world, but most likely wasn't. I mean, I don't know. But yeah, I was born on an election day this year. I don't know if what day my birthday falls on this year. Actually, this year is a 20, so I should fall on a Tuesday this year. I'll have to look on the calendar. Look at that. I still have plenty of bobbin. Like, wow. Changed my stitch lengths. I've gone around this 3 times. I pieced the back. I pieced all my franken-pieced batting. This bobbin is lasting quite a while. All right, one more side to do. And all I do is come to about where I should be, and I pivot at these corners. No back stitching needed for this. Yeah, this is my last side. And I'll show you guys why I do this extra stitch. I mean, it might seem whatever, you can just finish it with the one, but the second stitch around, I think it looks really cool. That's just me, but you guys can tell me what you think in a minute. And make sure everything stays flat while I'm doing this part too, though. Another thing about quilting this way is this is really heavy. I don't know why it seems heavier to quilt the quilt this way as opposed to on a long arm and then taking it off, but this little quilt is pretty heavy. It's got some weight to it. I don't know. Kind of weird. Maybe it's my franken-batting, all that extra thread. I don't know. But it's definitely a very plush, which Triana is going to love. Okay, I'm going to snip this away before I get to it. That way I'm not running it over. And I did back stitch, so nothing should fall out. So I'm going to come to one more stitch. Turn it and then back stitch when I get to my start stitch. Tie it off and it out. Now this is why I do that second stitch. Do you see that? I'm gonna put my arm in front of it so you can see. Here, let's just lay it down and move the camera to it so you can see why I do this. Whoops, didn't mean for that to happen, guys. Stitch what it did. It flattened that whole entire corner down. Nothing is ever going to turn. It's nice and clean on the back side. So, and then all the way around, it's got this nice clean, it's like a double stitch, like from a machine that does double stitch, you know? It kind of gives it that illusion, like the side of a pair of jeans, or, you know, it's nice and finished. And I changed the stitch length, so it is a bigger stitch length than the outer one. The outer one is tight purposely, but this one is bigger, so leaving bigger kept it nice. So let's bring this up here, and then I'll hold the quilt up so that you can see. Hopefully this thing does not fall again. Is this a good... It's turning on me. Don't know how that's happening. So there that is.
Are you still in line?
Yeah. Why?
You got a chance to wash the machine. You got a lot of cleaning to do.
Did we flood the garage flooded? It's a good thing my long arm is not out there. The frame is though, and all my other fabrics. So here's that. I'm not going to quilt because now I just found out our washing machine just took a shit. And I'm going to say that out loud because it sounds like my garage is flooded. So there's that. Here's the princesses on the back. Like I said, this double outer stitch is very, very clean looking. I like it. I'm not going to quilt anything till later only because I have to go deal with the garage. So here is Triana's quilt. Everything is super flat. If it wasn't flat, you guys would see like a puddle. If you didn't have this pressed out really nicely and pushed out, holding it up like this, you would be puddling on one side or the other. But as you can tell, look at it from the sides, there's no puddling whatsoever. It is laying perfectly in both directions. So all I have left to do is put some quilting in it to hold the centers together, but I'm not going to do that now because I got to go deal with my garage. So let me look at the comments real quick, and I'm going to end this video. Let me make sure everybody... Hi guys. You're probably really, really high. Just reading through, I'm just getting really very pretty, so I'm not going to go all the way back up because I'm going to get out in the garage real quick. So yes, and then if you guys want to see, I did put this together in Sew Sunday's video yesterday, so it would be dated the 30th, August 30th. that's when I put this together. So today I just decided to quilt it and get it done since the girls aren't here and Triana can't see me doing it. So that's that. All right, guys. Well, I gotta go take care of my garage flood. And we need to get a new washing machine. You know, when you're broke, everything seems to just go wrong financially. Again, another one of those times, because we just got our washer like 2 years ago. Okay, I'm gonna go. I'll rant another time about my stupid washing machine. All right, love you guys. If you're new, subscribe, click the bell, get notifications, like my videos, and I will see you guys. Love y'all. Bye. And I'll end it right here.